Hello, everyone. Welcome to Awaken Your Freedom Show. Please subscribe to support our growing community. Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're plunging into the high-stakes world of finance and the really dramatic story of the bond king, Bill Gross. Our deep dive today is anchored by Mary Child's book. It's fantastic. The Bond King, the High-Stakes Saga of Bill Gross and Bond Markets.
Ah.
It's a journey into the life of a guy who didn't just play the financial game. He kind of blew it up and redefined it. For better maybe and for worse.
That's exactly right. And for you listening, this isn't going to be just some dry finance biography.
Yeah.
Our mission today is really to dig deeper than just the numbers. We're going to pull out the core lessons, the real-world drama, and those fresh insights, sometimes pretty surprising ones, that make his story so much more than just like a timeline of trades. We want to uncover what really stands out about his rise, his fall, and importantly, what you can take away from it all, about ambition, risk, and what happens when, well, genius meets just immense power.
Okay, so let's unpack this. You picture a finance titan, right? Maybe think
Yeah.
Wall Street, Ivy League MBA, that whole thing. But Bill Gross, his origins are way more unexpected, honestly, a lot more thrilling. Child's book tells us he actually started his journey in Las Vegas, like casino chaos. Picture this. He walks in with just $200. That's it. But he had this knack for card counting. And here's the kicker. He didn't just, play around. He managed to turn that $200 into $10,000 before, well, you guess it, the casinos banned him, said he was too good. What's really fascinating isn't just the money, though. It's what that experience taught him, right?
Oh, absolutely. What's really striking is how that Vegas stint wasn't just some fun story for later. It's basically the blueprint. It became the fundamental model for his success in the bond market years later. That whole experience, it sparked this deep fascination with risk, with understanding odds, and this is key, with disciplined, repeatable systems. He learned that risk wasn't just like random luck.
Yeah.
It was a system, something you could analyze, understand, maybe even exploit. And that mindset, seeing risk not as chaos, but as this intricate puzzle, that became the absolute DNA of his bond genius. It's what let him take a pretty modest office job at PIMECO, which was back then a smallish bond firm, and turn it into this absolute financial powerhouse, a force that kind of subtly but also profoundly moved huge amounts of capital across the U.S. He wasn't just gambling. He was building a framework, a system for managing uncertainty on a scale nobody had really seen before in bonds.
Right. So let's paint a picture of the bond market before Bill Gross came along. It was, let's be honest, pretty dusty, bit boring. You're talking long-term investments, hold to maturity, low returns, safe, yeah, but dull.
Very institutional, very quiet.
Exactly, like a library compared to the stock market's trading floor. Bonds were for stability, not really for active trading or, making big, fast profits.
And that's exactly where Gross just completely flipped the script. He didn't just join the market, he revolutionized it. He created tradable bond funds. That sounds normal now, but back then, revolutionary. Professional investors didn't really have these liquid, actively managed options before him. Then he aggressively marketed performance. He made bonds. Well, he kind of made them sexy, at least to professional investor.
Made bonds sexy? That's a headline.
Huh. Well, yeah, he turned the staid asset class into something dynamic, exciting, actively managed. Think about PMCO's Total Return Fund. That thing was legendary. It didn't just make money. It basically democratized a market that was previously just for insiders, big institutions, the super rich. It gave everyday investors access, for the first time really, to professional-level bond strategies. Suddenly, bonds weren't just safe harbor. They were powerful tools for actively building wealth.
Okay, so the Vegas discipline, the card-counting mindset, scaled up perfectly to bonds, it seems like. But as the book shows, that kind of huge power and influence, especially when you mix it with relentless ambition, that can be a really potent and often dangerous mix. Gross really did wield significant power over global markets. He wasn't just participating, he was moving them.
Which raises a huge question, right? What happens when one person has that much influence? Well, inside PMCO, it bred this incredible complexity and this intense, almost crushing pressure to always outperform, always be right.
Always got to win.
Exactly. And that cultivated a culture at PIMCO that became known for being really aggressive and pretty secretive, too. The same internal discipline that made him a titan. It also made the firm itself super cutthroat and, kind of ironically, pretty fragile underneath it all. People who worked there described this high-intensity environment. Stakes were always sky-high. Loyalty wasn't just about being a team player. It was measured in basis points, those tiny bond spreads and the huge performance fees they generated. Yeah, it was a pressure cooker. Only the absolute toughest survived. And that line between genius and something, well, something more destructive. It got really, really blurry. You can almost feel that intensity, can't you?
Yeah, I can. And like a lot of empires built on these huge personalities and aggressive tactics, you start to see cracks, visible signs that the whole thing, this kingdom, was maybe starting to crumble. It's got to be hard to stay on top like that.
It really is. And the book details these cracks pretty vividly. First up, controversies. Rumors started swirling. Treasury bid manipulation, basically, trying to rig the auctions for U.S. government bonds. That's serious stuff.
Yeah, very serious.
And even cheating allegations within PIMCO itself. These weren't just whispers, they were major stains, damaged trust, big time. Then there was his personal life, which you always hope stays separate, but...
It rarely does at that level.
Right. It started blowing back into the boardroom. His divorce was painful, very public. Then this bizarre, messy feud with his neighbors made headlines.
I remember that. Wild.
Totally. This personal chaos directly impacted his professional world, his leadership, and it all culminated in this really public, really nasty falling out with PIMCO's own board. And what's also telling is even his famous market timing. Like, he called the housing collapse in 2006, famously.
Right, he saw it coming.
He did. But even then, PMCO had these huge mortgage bets, some designed to profit from the crash, but they didn't fully shield them in the '08 crisis. When the whole system almost went down, they still got hit. It just showed that even genius has blind spots. Or maybe just timing issues, the magnitude. It showed nobody's infallible, not even the Bond King.
Man, what a ride. So, okay, what does all this mean for us listening? This deep dive isn't just like history, it's packed with lessons, right? Let's really dig into the takeaways from this incredible and, cautionary story.
Absolutely. Lesson number one, I'd say, is systemized risk pays until it doesn't. Gross's whole card counting thing taught him to play the odds. He built these amazing, intricate systems to find market inefficiencies, and they worked brilliantly for a long, long time.
But markets aren't casinos.
Exactly. They aren't neat decks of cards. They're driven by human emotion, irrationality, those black swan events nobody sees coming. His downfall showed that even the smartest systems can break, especially when ego gets in the way or the market just does something truly unprecedented. Second lesson. Transparency over secrecy. Sounds obvious, maybe.
But crucial in finance.
Hugely. In finance, in life. Hidden stuff eventually leaks, and when you have a culture of secrecy, trust just evaporates. Once rumors start, you need this massive cleanup effort to get credibility back, if you even can. That applies if you're managing billions or just your own reputation.
Okay, that makes sense. What else?
Third, and this one hit Gross hard, personal life often equals professional life. His personal chaos, the divorce, the neighbor feud, the ego stuff, it absolutely blew back into the boardroom, as the book puts it. Real, lasting leadership, it demands integrity, stability, at home too, not just in the office. You can't really compartmentalize your character when you're running something that big.
That's a tough one, but
Yeah.
true.
And finally, the active versus passive debate. This is super relevant today. The Bond King's story is this powerful, real-world case study. It shows that active management can generate amazing, legendary returns. But it can also collapse just as dramatically. It's a huge reality check, especially now when passive index investing is so dominant. It highlights the massive potential upside, but also the equally massive downside of betting everything on one brilliant but ultimately human manager.
So when you boil it all down, what's Gross's legacy? He definitely changed finance forever. No question. He innovated, challenged things.
He absolutely did. His story is just this incredible cautionary tale, but it's wrapped in on the glamour and myth of a Wall Street giant. It's about amazing vision, real virtuosity in finance, but it's also undeniably about extreme volatility and deep vulnerability. Bill Gross showed us, I think, how brilliance, when it's not checked by humility, by some basic integrity, it can just burn everything down. So maybe some raw insights to take away. If you want to lead something big, a company, your finances, whatever, you need more than just skill. You need that ethical muscle, that inner compass, resilience, and building real, lasting wealth. It's not just about chasing the highest returns possible. You need the resilience to ride out the storms, the downturns, the personal challenges. And maybe this is the final thought. If you ever find yourself way up at the top, feeling like that lone rider in charge, just remember, that's often the loneliest spot and the most precarious place to fall from.
This deep dive into Bill Gross, it really is for anyone who's motivated by power or fascinated by innovation, or maybe just a little wary of how ambition, when it's unchecked, can kind of corrode even the strongest character over time. So for you listening, what stands out most to you from this incredible story? To close, please don't forget to subscribe on your favorite platform, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, or Spotify to stay sharp and never miss a drop of knowledge that can change your financial life. Thank you.